Hello and welcome to the DC Stewart Show Podcast. I am your host, Derek Stewart, along with my kinfolk today. It is a Monday, September 22nd, 2025. We've gotten this far into the year and we've knocked it out of the park all the way from January until now. The year somewhat went by fairly fast, but it's not too fast for us because we slow the time down when we're on this show talking. So make sure you hit that like button and make sure you hit that subscribe button. We hope everybody is doing well this morning on this Monday morning. We're streaming live the DC Stewart Show Podcast on YouTube, and we will be having a show full of topics today talking about past weekend football, mainly college, but we're going to dip into some NFL football today because we had some good games yesterday. And we're going to be picking each other's brains. We welcome Najee back. Welcome back, brother. We glad to have you back this Monday morning.
I'm happy to be back.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. We're so happy you're here. And Isaah, my sidekick, or should I say my other half, is here. And he's here with me. We did a live stream on Saturday covering the Florida-Miami game, and boy, we had a good time. We were a little bit thinking along the way that until Miami took over the game, but beyond that, everything worked out for us. We're going to be covering several topics today. Like I said, we're going to go into coaches who are somewhat on the hot seat. We're going to be talking about specific players for teams in the top 20 or top 12, should I say, of the CFP. But in the meantime, we have a special guest with us today, and we're so happy to have him here. TJ, joining me is TJ, a man who really knows the game, and basically he knows sports, just like Isaah, myself, and Najee knows sports. And he is our special guest today. He will be joining us talking about different topics along the way. So sit back, relax, and listen to this good raw sports commentary today. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring in Isaah and see how Isaah is doing, and we'll go down the list on how everything is going.
Perfect day, man. It's a beautiful day to recap the stuff that happened over the weekend. And you guys know I'm biased. I ain't gonna even front. I got my
we all know you're a 305 guy. We know you 305. You know,
oh, man, listen, man, what a beautiful game we covered over the weekend, DC, with University of Miami and Florida. Man, it was a nail biter into the third quarter because, Florida, their defense is legit. The offense had struggled a little bit, but man, that was a great game. It was nasty, rainy out there, and there was some slips with the ball. Guys was missing passes because they would normally catch them otherwise because it was so nasty out there. But overall, I was pleased with the game, man. My Canes took care of business, and we getting ready to go up to Tallahassee, and get rid of them Seminoles, baby. We got to knock them out. Once we knock them out, we can always say, "Oh, the Canes were back, baby."
That's right. Hey, well, that might be a tall order. I don't think it's going to be too tall of an order, but I think it will be somewhat of a tall order at some point.
We take care of them Seminoles, so we can go ahead and say it.
We
ran. It showed that we ran the table in the state. Because remember, we knocked off Florida, we knocked off UF, and then it'll be the Seminoles. We get rid of all of them, run the table in the state. Yes,
absolutely. And I know your peeps up in the Panhandle where you played high school football. They're waiting for you. They laying low in the cut for you. So we definitely got to go up there and get this thing done to next Saturday, and we'll be covering that game as well. Yep. Najee, how the hell are you, man? Tell us a little bit about your weekend. What was going on with you and everything?
What's going on, fellas? Well, today is the first day of fall. Summer is finally over. Bro, it was a lot of great football when you talking about college and pros.
Yeah.
Pros, man, we had a lot of injuries. Connor for the Cardinals, he's out for the season. He messed his ankle up. CD Lamb, he hurt his ankle. He's taking an MRI to see how far it's going to go on. Bro, it's deep. It's deep, boy. It can mess up the season already. We on in what, week 3? Yeah, it's strange.
Yeah, we're only in week 3, and Najee Harris done something to his ankle too. I'm hoping it's not too serious, but it was a non-contact play with Najee Harris. He was in the backfield, I guess, setting up the block for Justin Herbert, and basically he went down. He just immediately went down. They carried the play out, and it was a sad state of affairs the way it looked. So hopefully all these players can recover. I mean, to the severity of their injuries, we hope them and wish them well. Let's get to TJ. TJ, how are you? How was your weekend? Tell us a little bit about you. I know you graduated from University of Texas, and you're a Texas Longhorn at heart. So we'll be talking about Texas today, along with Arch Manning, to see where he has gotten to from this point from that Ohio State game. So welcome, TJ. Tell us a little bit about you.
I appreciate it. Appreciate y'all. Happy to be here with y'all, and definitely appreciate the invite. Yes, I am a Texas fan. Obviously, I'm a big sports fan, so I spent most of my weekend watching all of the college football games and also watching all the NFL games. So I was kind of glued to my couch. It was a very, very fun weekend of football, and I can't wait to just hit the high level points with y'all.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you a little bit about my weekend. I had a really solid weekend. I covered that game with Isaah on Saturday. And man, it's nothing like being able to cover college football. College football is special. The NFL is a good sport. I'm not going to even say good sport. It's a great sport. But college football is in a class all by itself. I mean, you got young 17, 18, 19-year-old kids. They're out there playing for keeps. They're trying to get to the pro ranks and the pro level. So with all that said, they're going to play harder. They're going to play with more passion, more aggression that I could see versus, the NFL. And I had a really good weekend as well. So let's get this thing kicked off. We're going to cover Florida. We're going to recap that Florida-Miami game, and then we'll go into some other games as well. And then we're going to talk about coaches on the hot seat. We're going to talk about Coach Prime a little bit. They were able to regroup and get a win against Wyoming. And we're going to cover some other subject matters and topics. So I will start out by going over the Florida-Miami game. So let's start with quarterback DJ Lagway. Lagway was a 5-star quarterback coming out of Texas. He could have went anywhere he wanted to go, but he chose Florida. And he chose Florida probably because Billy Napier was able to convince him and recruit him in a manner where he felt like he was at home going up to Gainesville versus any other school, because he could have went anywhere. He did not play as well as he should have played in that first game against LSU. He threw 5 picks in that game. This Miami game against Miami, he didn't throw any picks. However, he still looked sluggish when he was playing against that Miami defense. And I'm going to start out, and I'm going to ask TJ to start this thing out. TJ, what did you pick up from DJ Lagway's inability to be able to move that offense until the second half? Because they did start moving the ball the second half, because they started running the ball. So what was his issue? Was it the pass rush, or was it just him not being able to measure up to the moment?
I think a lot of it's on him. I'll cut him a little bail. I'll shoot him a little bail and say, obviously the kid was dealing with injuries all off season, and so it looks like, if you watch their offense, it looks like an offense that hasn't had the requisite amount of time to gel together. But when you're playing a defense like Miami's defense or LSU's defense, there ain't no time to get the timing right. You got to come into the game with that stuff right. And I don't think the play calling is helping him. I think I compared a lot to kind of the struggles Texans have been going through on offense, where their offense just doesn't look like the timing is right. The wide receivers aren't separating. Man, those wide receivers are young. They got a lot of really young, really talented wide receivers, but those guys don't have the reps yet. And so I don't want to lay it all at the feet of Lagway, but he's just got to be better, man. He's just not been very good. Obviously, he didn't throw any interceptions, and that was probably a big goal for him going into the week. At least give the team a chance to stay in the game. And he did that. He was successful in not throwing any interceptions. But I thought Miami really had his number all day. And even on that touchdown drive, I said, okay, that's one drive, but can they do it again? And it didn't look like they were going to be able to, and they really weren't able to.
So Isaah, tell me, what do you think, as well as what TJ just broke down to us, because it looks like that defense was all over him in the first few quarters. First and second quarter, they were getting penetration. Reuben Bain Jr. was coming off that edge with a vengeance, of course, and we saw a shining light, a bright light on Miami's defense to get in there and be able to disrupt what he was doing. What do you think, Isaah, was DJ Lagway's biggest, least amount of effort, or should I say his biggest downturn when it came to facing Miami's defense? DJ.
Yeah, Lagway, man. Hey, he could be a DJ, he could be a PJ, he could be a PJ. He was on the run.
Absolutely.
Mike Williams had him running for his life, man. And one thing I can clearly see about him, he's got a beautiful past, but he's always in trouble. So he can't. And one thing I took from him for the last 3 games at least, he's not that good on the run. Once he get out of that pocket and he have the tuck tail and run, and even when he passes, he's never accurate when he's running, man. He's a guy who can sit back and pick you apart because he's got a good arm. But he can't. His team hadn't gelled. You could tell that they don't have that chemistry yet, because he will overthrow, underthrow, and there's never like a connection where he hit guys right on a target, because he's always in trouble. And I think between the offensive line and his receivers, they got to go back to the basics, man, because they just don't have that connection together. And if you look at back with Miami's receivers, they were clocking it because they was right on time, and it shows you the chemistry. And we talking about a quarterback who just got there this year, as opposed to Lagway been there for a couple seasons, and I don't understand how in the hell that they're not able to connect. So that was the object of the game. Miami, seeing what happened with the LSU debacle where he couldn't connect and he threw those 5 picks. One thing he did do, he cleaned up those interceptions, because imagine if he threw 5 interceptions this week, it would have been a blowout. But the University of Miami couldn't intercept any of his passes, but he got rid of the ball in time to not throw an interception. But other than that, I thought it was a fairly competitive game into the third quarter, because Florida's defense was they were.
Florida has a really good defense. That's the only thing that has kept them, within range of kind of evening their season out, because they're 1-3 right now. So if they win out, which I know more than likely they're not, when they face Texas and these other teams, it's just going to be a rough season for them. So Najee, help me out with this. DJ Lagway is listed at 6'3", 247 pounds. That is a very large quarterback. He's a big guy. He can run. He can get out of the way of the rush. He can run. He can tuck it and run with it. So Najee, is it Billy Napier not getting across to him, or is it just him not executing on the field?
Well, he might not be comfortable. Like, he probably have everything you need him to be, but he's not playing comfortable. He looked like he was brainstorming as he were playing. That's one of the worst things you could do on offense, especially quarterback, because every second counts already. Every second counts already. So if you brainstorming, by the time you don't even make your play, you gotta overthrow him, underthrow him. It's too late, or you sat. And this is the timing. And I don't think he has it. He don't have it yet because he's not comfortable, and he's probably nervous as heck.
And as TJ said, he was injured, so he did not have a full camp. Correct, TJ?
Yes, and he injuries have kind of been something that have followed him in his career. Last year, he got banged up a little bit too, and he's not a small guy, but he takes some hits, man. Like, not just in the pocket, but outside the pocket.
Yeah.
And I think it's tough, because I think that Miami defensive line is like top 1, top 2 in the nation. So I don't want to be unfair to Florida's offensive line, But Miami was clearly, even though this was the score was close, the trench play was not competitive on either side of the ball. Like Florida just didn't have the guys up front to compete with Miami. And I thought Cristobal hauled it very conservatively, realizing what he had on the trenches and realizing what his defense was doing. And I know that Cristobal doesn't have the best reputation with people, but I thought being that conservative was very smart. In the first half of that game, you see Miami punting on 4th and 2 and 4th and 3. They're not really putting the pedal to the metal, and I thought that was a smart way to play it, because until Florida can prove to me that they can move the ball, there's no reason for me to I might as well play the field position game. And so, although the game was close on paper, the game was close on the scoreboard, to me it looked like one team has the better trench play on either side of the ball, and we know how this is going to end 99% of the time, because I think Miami might have the best offensive and defensive line combination in the country. They look like they've just been head and shoulders above everybody they've played in the trenches, and that's scary. That's super scary.
And to remind everyone, every football game is won in the trenches, is won and lost in the trenches on both sides of the ball, offense and defense. If you cannot impose your will on that other opposing opponent, he's going to more likely impose his will on you. And that's how it will turn out. So here's the thing. It looks like Florida has got a long season ahead of them, because they got Texas next. I mean, Texas is traveling to Florida. So one or two things is going to happen. Arch Manning along the way is going to have to really up his game, because Sam Houston State is not, to me, a measuring stick. I mean, that's the school you can't measure, the Texas offense and the Texas defense on. But Florida is going to be playing like they're a wounded animal on this coming weekend, I think. Now, Texas has all of the intangibles to dominate and win this game. What is the main intangible you think is needed for Texas to go up into, Florida, Ben Griffin's Field and win this game? What do you think is going to be the most important thing that they're going to need? And I'll go with Isaiah on this one.
Go ahead.
Well, Arch going to have to be able to move the ball. The first couple games, I was like, wow, this guy is the one that was putting all this hype on because he's the nephew of Peyton and Eli Manning. He hadn't proved anything to me. But you know what? The last couple games, he's been connected. I'm not saying he's playing with those superior teams, but he's been connecting with his receivers. Now, if he can find a way to do that, that's going to be a plus for Texas. But I'm going to tell you right now, Florida defense is going to be getting after him, and he's going to have to be getting rid of that ball. So that's going to be the name of the game of this game this coming up week. I'm going to tell you right now, Florida is going to be trying to defend their home stadium as well, and they're going to be going after it. So I'm eager to see this. I don't want the coach to get fired. I want everything to stay put. I hope everybody is playing at full strength, no injuries and things like that, because I want to see, and I'll evaluate, that Manning's nephew on this game, because I hadn't seen nobody really get after him. He's just been having fun back there in the last couple of games, just picking folks apart. But I don't think Florida going to just sit back and let him do that. So this is going to be a clear test for him. Arch's going to have to be able to move that ball down the field. Yeah.
So here's the thing as well. Texas's defense, TJ just explained that Miami's defense is easily the number 1 or 2 defense in the country. You got to add Texas to that equation. Their defense, to me, is off the charts. I mean, I've seen them play. I saw them play from last year on into this year. And that Ohio State game, Texas defense stuck pretty strong. I mean, it was offense that really couldn't move the ball on Ohio State's defense. So Florida is going to have to really step up and block for DJ Lagway, because if they don't, he's going to be running for his life on Saturday, because guess what? Texas has got a defensive line that's equally as aggressive, equally as strong. So, Najee, help me out with this. Which team do you think is going to get the motivation to win this game? I think Florida will, but which one do you think?
It has to, because you already lost your last game. The last thing you want to do is continue a losing streak, because what's his name? DJ threw for 12 of of 23 for 60 yards. For a quarterback, that is awful. You ain't throwing the ball nowhere. You getting what, maybe 4 or 5 yards a pass, about 5 yards a pass. You ain't going nowhere with that, bro. Nowhere. So I think that the Gators, they need to build from that, because they look awful, especially the first half. The second half, they did pretty good. They were a lot better. So from game to game, they need to build and get better. They need to build and get better. What you said in the first game or the first couple of games, he had like 5 picks in one game, where he didn't have none the last game, but he only threw 12 for 23 for 60 yards. For a quarterback, that is awful. That is awful.
It is awful, but TJ, is this going to be Billy Napier's last game if Texas go in there and manhandle them?
I think so. You know, I'm very interested. So this game is, both teams are coming off a bye, so we don't play this coming Saturday. We play next Saturday. We both have a bye week this week.
Okay.
I'm really interested to see what the environment is going to be like in the stadium at Florida, assuming Billy Napier is still the coach, which I assume that he will be, because as we're sitting here Monday morning, Billy Napier still has a job. I don't think that it will be his last game, because I think that for that to happen, Texas has to blow him out, and I don't think Texas is going to blow him out. Because Florida's defense is so good. Like you said earlier, Florida's defense has been keeping them competitive in these games. I mean, they lost a game at LSU by 10 points, and then their quarterback 5 interceptions. They lost.
That's right.
So,
absolutely.
Their defense has been coming to play, and that's scary. And that's going to be a great test for the Texas offense, which has had its own struggles, obviously. I think whoever wins the game is going to be the offense that can be the most consistent. It ain't going to be the big plays, because both those defenses are going to lock it down over the top, and they're going to say, can that quarterback complete 5 or 6 yard passes consistently against us and make us pay? Who's going to make that defense come out of that too high shell? And it doesn't look like, from what we've been seeing from Lagway and from Arch Manning at times, that they can consistently hit the easy pass, hit a 5 yard out to make that corner cheat up a little bit on the next play. So I think it's going to be a measure of who can be the most consistent. Something that gives me a little bit of hope from a Texas perspective is we had a healthy running back room for the whole goddamn season. And it looks like going into 2 weeks from now, we'll have a healthy running back room. And I think it's really going to come down to, obviously, what the quarterback play is, but who can run the ball. And Florida has the advantage there, because Florida has the best running back in the game. That ball kid secretly has been having a great season, and they probably need to give him the ball more. Because he's good. Like, he can make plays. He can break tackles in the backfield. Texas hasn't had a run play over 20 yards the whole season. So I think if that ball kid gets loose against that Texas defense, it can get scary for my guys. I trust my defense to lock that down, but I think they have a clear advantage in the running back room. I don't know who I'd give the advantage to in the quarterback room to, but I think both those defenses are going to dominate that game. And it's going to be who can make plays late, who can stay on schedule. I think it'll be a pretty good game, assuming that the Florida fans are up for it. I don't think Florida is the most toxic situation in the country right now. I think that goes to Clemson, but it's got to be one of them, right? It's in the top level of toxicity.
I think it's Clemson.
Yeah, me too.
I think it's
they were
Clemson.
booing this weekend. I think it's got to be Clemson.
Yeah. It's Clemson, because Clemson is shooting their own self in the foot. It ain't nobody doing it to them. They're self-inflicted.
You know, we talked about Dabo Swinney over the weekend, and we've had Dabo Swinney in our conversation for quite some time. We're not isolating Dabo Swinney. We're not picking on Dabo Swinney. We're telling the facts about what Dabo Swinney refuses to do, obviously, and he refuses to adapt to the changing times of college football. And if you don't adapt, you're going to fall behind. I'll keep saying this, and I'll say this until the end of time. You're going to fall behind, and all of those teams that's in the ACC is going to get much, much better around you, and you're not going to have the athletes to compete with them. For Syracuse to go up in there and manhandle them in Death Valley, and I'm going to call it manhandling, because that was the domination. Syracuse starting quarterback was injured. They had to put a backup in there. And Clemson still couldn't stop them. I mean, what? Tell me, what am I missing here? Am I missing something, guys? Najee, am I missing something? They couldn't stop him. They could not stop Syracuse with a backup quarterback. You know how long it's been since Syracuse was able to go up in Death Valley and win a football game? I can't remember. I probably wasn't even born. Ever. Never. And, you know, it's a sad state of affairs because you have a great program. Dabo Swinney built this program from top to bottom, and he dominated for so many years. And now, since that NIL and that portal has come in, there has not been any movement toward that. He would rather recruit high school kids, and that's his prerogative. I mean, to each his own, as I always say, you know. And something is going to have to give at some point in time when it comes to the ACC. So Florida, we're going to keep an eye on Florida. They're going to play on October 4th, which is, 2 weeks from now. And both teams got a week or at least 2 weeks to prepare for each other, especially Florida more so than Texas, because Texas is, Steve Sarkisian calling them plays. That brother can call some plays, man. It's just a matter of whether they can execute it, and we'll see how Arch Manning does in another spotlight type of game, right? So let's move on to this next topic, and we're going to talk a little bit about the national title odds, and we'll be quick on this. I'm going to start with TJ. Who do you think is going to get into that 12-team rotation and work their way up until the national championship? Who do you just have right off the top of your head?
I hate to say this because I'm not a big fan of the University of Miami, but I think they look like the most complete team in the country. Their trench work is better than everybody I've seen so far. Those two young wide receivers look ridiculous. Beck is a gamer. I even last year at Georgia, I know a lot of the Georgia fans and even the people in the Georgia building were putting stuff on Beck. They just didn't have any receivers last year at Georgia. They led the country in drops last year. Now he's got guys that can go up and make plays for him. I really like the Miami defense. I just think that right now Miami is the most complete team in the country. And so if I had to pick today, I'd put my money on Miami to win the national championship, and that hurts me so much.
Who would you match him up against?
It's been a real mixed bag out there in terms of, I feel like every other team in the country, from my eyes, have been up and down. But I'll take the team that I think has the best real win, the best they've gone out there and shown me something on the field. Georgia winning at Tennessee really showed something to me, because I didn't think that Georgia would have the passing game that it looks like that they do have, or at least in that game. Gunnar Stockton really impressed me. So right now, unfortunately, I would have to say that I would put Georgia and Miami in the national championship.
How about you, Isaiah?
Wouldn't that be something, being that Beck came from Georgia, if that was to happen? And that would be so way of him washing it in their face with some soap and water. Man, that would be a great thing, and it would be huge to cover something like that. To see a quarterback move here and got so much scrutiny on him. And I met some Georgia fans even last year. That was even before he jumped ship and come here. It was just word that he was talking about leaving. And they was, trashing him to the max. And now he wind up here and doing well. I mean, he loved the city. He loved the community. The teams embraced him. You could see that they've been getting the work in. They've been putting that work in because of the timing is excellent. But, that would be something. And I can kind of second you on both of these teams, because even though I'm going to tell you how biased I am, but I'm correct on this thing, because I watched all of these games, the Michigans, the Ohio States, all of these teams that make consistent mistakes. And even the penalties, I've seen these other teams make penalties, the holding. I mean, DC, you and I covered this thing where these other teams would be blatantly holding people, and maybe it wasn't called, but we see the play of these other teams, and they make countless mistakes. And I don't see that happening with Miami. Miami make the least amount of mistakes, and when Beck make one little where he got to eat the ball, he'd be so hurt because he thought, wow, I could have got this ball off. And I don't see other quarterbacks doing that. And I even talked about the fact that he carry out his fates and his decoys like Peyton Manning do. He's a really polished quarterback. I mean, he's been there for 6 years in collegiate football for 6 years, so he should be like that. But this other quarterback's been around that long too, but they don't conduct themselves like him. So I would second that, man. I think it would be Georgia and the University of Miami will be a great game because Georgia have a huge following too. So it'll be a nice game, championship game to see. Yeah.
How about you, Najee?
Well, you already know that I'm pretty much spoiled with the Roll Ties, but Canes do look like they're really complete this year.
They look good.
Personally didn't think they would have. I didn't think they were going to be this good because they just lost Cam Ward. So I was like, there's no way they're going to be better than last year. Why would they be better than last year when somebody just starting for the first time with his squad? But nah, Georgia and Canes, that sounds awesome. When you talk about him playing against his own roots, and it'd be a great storytelling. Like if it was for the pros, if that was the pros, that'd be probably memorable, easily.
Absolutely, absolutely. I have to agree with all of you guys. I have to agree with all of you guys. I mean, to me, Miami is so complete in all areas, all phases of the game, because if you look at their special teams and then you look at those two bookends that they have on offense as far as wide receivers go, you're talking about Malachi Tony, you're talking about CJ Daniels, and they have a damn good tight end as well. And for Carson Beck to have that many weapons, but get this, he's got two foolish running backs in the backfield. You got Mark Fletcher Jr. back there. You got Brown back there, and those two guys tote that hide, man. They don't mess around. They hit those holes, and they're through there, and they are on up the field. So I have to say that Miami is a solid team. Now, let me get you guys on this and get you guys input on this. They've jumped up to number 2. You think that was worthy of jumping to number 2 by beating Florida?
Yep.
Yeah, because I already thought
yeah. Well, listen, DC, these folks who's pulling these polls are seeing what we're seeing. They're not holding a blind eye to this thing, man. When you see the type of play that University of Miami, and especially the play calling and the
Shannon Dawson.
management.
Shannon Dawson.
Remember the time management. Remember the time management a couple years ago when we let Tech fool around and go in there and run that clock. They're not taking these chances of going off on 4th and 1 and 4th and 2 and not getting it and giving these guys the ball back and they go down there and score. They playing field position and everything else now. They playing they're coaching an overall game now. So that's what's making them good too. So it's just a chess match what they're doing now.
I would say the same. I mean, I have to concur with everyone, and Miami is definitely going to be competing the rest of the year. If they run past Florida State, I see them in Georgia Tech in the ACC championship game. I really do, because Georgia Tech they're an up and coming team. You look at Haynes King; he's a Texas A&M transfer. He got into the portal and he ended up at Georgia Tech, and he's a running quarterback. He's tall. He's lanky. He's somewhat elusive. But whoever faces Georgia Tech is going to have to shut down Haynes King, all those lanes with him running in, because he will take off running in a heartbeat. He's not afraid to do it. And that's why Tech is where they are today, because on his legs. A lot of it was done on his legs, versus a lot of good teams that they played against, mainly Clemson. Because Clemson couldn't stop him, but I'd like to congratulate Syracuse's head coach, Fran Brown, for being able to go up in there and get that victory in Death Valley, because they call it Death Valley for a specific reason. Teams don't go up in there and win, and they don't go up in there and dominate and win in a dominating fashion. So we on this show actually congratulate Coach Fran Brown, because we had him in our conversation last year, and he's done a great job. Fran Brown coached under Kirby Smart at Georgia, and he coached the defensive backs. And that defensive backfield for Georgia over the last several years when he was there was just they were a bunch of monsters, man, when it came to making plays, making big hits, picking balls off and running with it, So we will definitely follow up on that. Now, here's another question I have, and we'll move on to this next topic, but I just have a concern that once Miami gets up to the top and then they meet Georgia Tech, I mean, how are they going to – somebody's going to have to win the ACC championship. And when they do, whoever wins that ACC championship, I think is going to be in the driver's seat coming out of the ACC. Wouldn't you agree with that, TJ?
No, I wouldn't agree with that.
Okay, so the SEC you will probably say is going to be in the driver's seat. A team coming out of the SEC?
Yes, assuming that team is Georgia. But so I think so. For example, if Florida State were to win the ACC, which I think could happen, I wouldn't pick them to win the ACC right now, but I think it could happen. I wouldn't pick Georgia. I wouldn't pick Florida State to go win it all. However, I would pick Miami, a healthy Miami, to go win it all. I think that we've already obviously seen over the last 2 years that Georgia Tech can go out there and play against the best teams in the country, not just in the ACC, but they almost beat Georgia last year. They might beat Georgia this year for all we know. I do need to see from Brent Key and those guys. Are you going to be able to go in there and dominate the teams that you're supposed to beat? Even last year when they almost beat Georgia, they had a couple losses for teams they're not supposed to have. Granted, Haynes King, great quarterback in their system, but he takes so many hits that he's always kind of hurt, and so you got to look at the QB injuries. But if they can keep Haynes King upright and healthy, or relatively healthy, because he kind of gets hurt every game, but if they can keep him relatively healthy, I think they can go out there and compete for the ACC. But if they can't, if he's not healthy enough to go, then I think I would pick Florida State to be the other team that could play Miami in the ACC championship.
Exactly. So we haven't mentioned the Big Ten either, and I have to mention the Big Ten because the Big Ten's got a lot of schools in the Big Ten that they're going to be challenging all of these other conferences. A lot of people will tell you that the Big Ten and the SEC are the two, dominant conferences as far as teams go. And I do agree with that to a certain level, but I think coming out of the Big Ten that Penn State, let me ask you this, Isaiah, do you think James Franklin's Penn State team is for real this year out of the Big Ten?
Yeah, he's always been for real ever since he got the job. It's just a matter of he had a couple of glitches here and there throughout the season, and he hadn't won it all until, but I think he's got a great team this year. I don't see him taking the whole, shebang, but he's always competitive. He's got a great team. He's just a well-rounded coach, and always have a good staff and motivate his players to go out there and win 10 more games or more, 10 or more games.
Najee, let me ask you this question coming out of the Big Ten, because you got three teams I can just immediately mention. You got Penn State. Well, I'll say Ohio State because they're number one in the nation. Then you have Penn State, and then you have, I would say USC, because USC looked pretty good against Michigan State on Saturday night. We watch these games on the West Coast, and these games come on at 8 o'clock at night. That's 11 o'clock at night on the East Coast. So a lot of people on the East Coast can't see these games, and they don't see these teams. But it looks like Lincoln Riley has somewhat come into his own with the talent level because their defense looked much better against Michigan State's offense. And that's something that's really haunted Lincoln Riley since he was at Oklahoma. He never had a defense. And, they're going to be a competitor as well, I think, as well as Oregon coming out of the Big Ten. So who do you think is going to come out of the Big Ten, Najee, and be a competitor?
Well, from the Big Ten, for some reason, I've always liked Ohio State. I felt like they're one of the more consistent schools out there on that side. Now, I don't follow them like that, like I do with the Ties and Canes, but for some reason, I feel like Ohio State always been kind of consistent on that side.
Right. So you're looking at three big conferences. The SEC beats up on each other. So, just like the Big Ten does, the ACC has always been known as a basketball conference, but they've come into their own with football. I'm going to shift the gears and go to Bill Belichick. The great one and only Bill Belichick. The GOAT in NFL football, if you want to call him a
NFL
GOAT in
football
NFL
coaching.
football, since he coached a dynasty up until Tom Brady left out of there. Doesn't look like North Carolina is doing well. All of the hype that was around North Carolina's program, I'm sure Mac Brown is sitting somewhere just with a smile on his face. Wouldn't you say that, TJ?
Yes, I would say that. Obviously, Mac Brown didn't like the way that it ended at UNC, but man, it is ugly at the University of North Carolina. Obviously, no matter how good of a coach Bill Belichick is or was, you got to get some players in there, and they don't have any players in there. I still kind of think they're playing the wrong quarterback. It's a mess. It is a mess in Chapel Hill right now. I'm really interested to see if the season continues like this. What does next year look like? Is Bill going to come back? Is he in this thing for the quote unquote long haul, or is he just going to up and go and say, well, that didn't work out, I'm on to the next venture? You know, he got other ways he could be spending his time, and I won't opine on what those other ways are, but it's ugly down in North Carolina. And obviously there was some motivation on behalf of the booster base to go out and get Bill Belichick and pay for Bill Belichick, but that money's probably better invested into getting some players on your roster. And so I'm really interested to see what their offseason looks like, assuming Bill decides to stick around for another season.
So, Isaiah, you think Bill Belichick has the work and he has the determination to actually put in the work to bring in players in there based on NIL and based on the transfer portal?
You know, I'm eager to find out what's really going on in his mind. He had a lot of distractions, you know, when he took this job, being that he's bringing this 27-year-old girlfriend on board, and that's all they was talking about. They was talking about her more than they was talking about him making a transition to collegiate football. But what I can clearly see is I think Bill is so out of touch now, man, because his tenure as a coach has been going south since Brady left him. And now he moved to collegiate football and it hadn't got any better. So he has several seasons of just losing now. I don't see any positives going this way. I mean, he's got these old guards of he's got his relatives, his son or something like that is on a defense and run his defensive side of the ball, and they're losing. And I don't see how he's making a drastic turnaround in another year. I think he will get tired of it and just say, okay, I got enough, because I can't see him turning this thing around, because he's running those 1970 plays and he can't resonate with these kids. It's like he's coaching he's their granddaddy. He's their great granddaddy. And I don't think they need a younger coach in there, some young mind to take over this program. I don't think they need a 70-plus-year-old man out there running around. You just got rid of it.
We just got one. I was getting ready to say that. It just got rid of Mac Brown.
Right.
Coming out of Texas.
Another antique in there, and they just
yeah. I mean, in some ways it might help.
One kid, she ain't a football player though.
Yeah, and he's got his son Steve on as the defensive coordinator as well. So we're gonna see how that measures and plays out throughout the rest of the season. Because I think when Clemson play him, Clemson is gonna be ready to bash him over the head. With the way Clemson's season is looking right now, nobody's going to go easy on North Carolina because he's the coach. And I'm going to tell you right now, he's in for a long haul, and he's going to have to put in a lot of work to get those type of players to come up in there and want to play, because it's just so many more options for players now to be able to move around, and they can go to a school of their choice based on what's best for them in terms of NIL. And that's all about, that's what it's about. It's about NIL and the player's ability to be able to earn the most versus the less, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I was going to ask y'all, DC, because I was just about to say that before Isaiah said something. Like, you got to think, is he really even as great as we say he is? Because the only good years he had is with Brady. He wasn't good before Brady, and he definitely haven't been good after him. And I'm talking about pros and college, or just his style of coaching is just outdated. Like, just like what Isaiah said, is it outdated, or was he just in a perfect position to succeed? Which one was it?
That's a good point.
Well,
And
you mentioned that up, Najee.
Because he's have had multiple years now without Brady. Brady have left years ago. He done tried doing it with the Patriots after he left. Now he's doing it with the level under the pros, and he cannot succeed. He can't do anything right now. Well, maybe he's just not focused on it. Maybe just not focused on it like you once was.
I don't think he's focused on it. I don't think he's focused on the fact that I think he just was probably thinking that his name recognition could get those young kids to want to come up in there, and they just leave these other schools and say, I want to go play for Bill Belichick. I don't think it's going to work out for him because of that. I really don't.
DC, remember how these people think, man. The world is like, what have you done for me lately? And understand something. That marriage between Belichick and Brady, when that broke up, we were trying to figure out who was the brain behind it. And we knew what the brain was. Brady went on and won a championship in a Super Bowl without Belichick. But Belichick hadn't won anything without Brady. So we know who was the mastermind behind those championships.
Not even the playoffs after Brady left. Not even the playoffs.
Yep.
Absolutely. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how all of this. And you know what? I failed to mention Oklahoma because Brent Venables at Oklahoma, he's done a great job, especially this year with this team with John Mateer quarterbacking that team. I'm waiting on the Red River rivalry with them in Texas because I think that between Texas, Oklahoma, and Georgia, and I'm looking at those as the top three teams, in my opinion, right now, that's going to be in control of their own destiny when it comes to, because Oklahoma and Texas is in the West. So they're going to have to contend with LSU and Mississippi State, and don't count Mississippi State out either, because they can beat you. So the SEC has a lot of teams. So TJ, you think Oklahoma and Texas, the determining factor coming out of the West is going to be these two teams? Because it looks like they're the most dominant teams to me. I don't see LSU as being able to do anything. I mean, moving into that conference championship games. Yes.
I don't want to. I'm not a big Brian Kelly fan, but I do want to give some respect to the LSU defense, which I think is just as good, if not better, than the Oklahoma defense. Oklahoma looked good this weekend. I can't say. Obviously, I hate Oklahoma, but they played a very good football game. However, I didn't come away from the Auburn game thinking that Oklahoma was. I still don't view them as a national contender. I still don't trust their offensive line. They still can't run the ball. I had some issues with Oklahoma. I think that offensive line, so I'll say this: Auburn's offensive line is very good. They gave up 10 sacks. I guess the NCAA changed it to 9 sacks in the game. But either way, they gave up an astronomical amount of sacks. But I didn't put that on their offensive line. I really put most of those sacks on their quarterback, who was just standing back there patting the ball all day. Not everybody's going to play like that against Oklahoma. And I feel like if you can get the quick game going against Oklahoma and not let that defensive line tee off on you, you can move the ball against Oklahoma. I didn't necessarily love their secondary. And I know that he's leaving those corners on islands all day because he trusts the quarterback to throw. But if you have a quarterback that can actually hit those deep shots, I think that Oklahoma's defense is going to be stretched out and it's going to look different. So I could be wrong. They could go into Dallas and beat the shit out of Texas and beat them up front and beat them up on the back end. I don't think Oklahoma is up there yet. I still want to hold a little bit of space for LSU if they're able to get their offense together. But something seems weird about that offense. They also can't run the ball. So it's hard for me to trust, especially in the SEC. It's hard for me to trust teams that can't really run the ball. It's just a difficult.
Yeah, you have to run the football. You have to be able to run the football to get there and to be able to win. It gives you a bigger and better chance to win a championship if you can run the football. If you can't run the football and you're too one-dimensional, you're not going to get there. And if you get there, you're not going to win the big game. Because that's just how you have to have that delicate balance to be able to run that football and pass it and kind of mix it up and do both. And that's what impresses me most about Shannon Dawson from the University of Miami. And by the way, Mario Cristobal, Coach Cristobal, don't let him get out of there. Don't let him get out of there. Do whatever. I mean, if another school offer him an opportunity, you match it financially. Don't let Shannon Dawson get out of there because he's a damn good offensive coordinator. I know other teams are going to come looking for him. Look, Virginia Tech has an opening right now because they fired Brent Pry. UCLA has an opening right now because they got rid of Deshaun Foster. And once again, Deshaun Foster was kind of moved. He was kind of pushed into a position, and I'm not going to say push, but he was enticed into a position where it was kind of like a very difficult situation for him to turn that program around at UCLA. And I wish him well wherever he goes because he probably will end up coaching in the assistant ranks again somewhere. That's his alma mater. He gave it a shot and it didn't work out. So let's move into the NFL genre and let's talk a little bit about the NFL. Let's get some of these scores out of the way. And I want to start with the New York Giants. I mean, I don't see a lot of smiling faces about the New York Giants. I don't follow the New York Giants, but they don't look pretty good right now. Do you think do you think they should go ahead and start the rookie quarterback now over Russell Wilson and just leave Russell Wilson in there?
Yes. They already benched him in the game in the fourth quarter. He came back. Russell Wilson came back in the game, but they already benched him. No, get rid of him. I've been said he is done. Russell Wilson is done, man. I don't know why y'all holding on to him, bro. He was garbage with the Broncos. He was okay with the Steelers. He is garbage. He's garbage right now, man. He's not the same no more, bro. Get rid of him. Stop.
I think you over-exaggerating, man.
I'm over-exaggerating. You didn't watch the game. I watched the entire game. He is awful.
I watched that man run for his damn life. They fold him up like a napkin several times, and you get folded up like a napkin. That ain't your fault. That means you not being protected, and that's what happened, man. He threw some picks. Now he did throw some picks, and that was probably his
no
fault.
touchdowns. Yes,
Two
picks and no touchdowns.
So TJ, is it Brian Dable?
This is a tough one for me. I also watched the game last night. Russ wasn't great. I think that's the easy way to put it. However, I am not a Jackson Dart fan. I just don't see it with that kid. I have too many nightmares of what he did in college. There's that game they had against, I think it was Florida, where they're driving in the fourth quarter to go win the game. He threw a pick. The pick came back because there was a call on the defense, and literally the next throw he threw the same pick again. I don't see it for him yet. I think that would be a better option than Russ, but I probably would go to Jameis if I'm being honest, because Jameis is a guy. One, he's younger than Russ, and also two, he is a guy that's going to throw a lot of picks, but he's also going to throw you some touchdowns. And I think that they need the upside, because Russ threw 2 picks last night. Jameis can go out there and throw you 2 picks, but he's also going to go out there and throw you some touchdowns.
And he's going to also give you a touchdown too.
Yeah, like he's going to give you the touchdowns to try to balance that out. And I think that it's tough for Russ. It's always kind of been tough for Russ being a shorter guy, throwing under pressure the short routes. He can throw the deep stuff because he can see the separation down the field easier than he can see the separation 5 or 6 yards down the field, because you got these massive dudes all around him. And so I think that's always been a weakness of his. But because he was so mobile as a young guy, he was able to maneuver the pocket in ways that he can't do anymore because he's an older guy now. I think we might be seeing the end of the Russell Wilson era. We should appreciate what he's given us from a football perspective, man. He obviously a Super Bowl winner. He was really, really great as a young guy, and nobody expected him to come into the league and play the way he did. But I think it just might be over. I just think we're seeing.
I think it is too.
The game is too fast for him.
I think it's pretty much the end of the road for Russ. I think he's going to be. He's not going to. I don't see him pursuing beyond this year unless the team just want to throw money at him out there and try to keep him in the league.
If they throwing money at me, I'll take it too.
Oh, for sure. You don't turn down money. I mean, that's not the thing to do. You don't want to turn down any money for sure, you know. So it looks like the Browns pulled the game out yesterday by a field goal. Where do you think the Browns are sitting right now, Isaiah, from a perspective of Shedeur still being the third? Well, Joe Flacco got benched, so I think he fell to number 2, right? And Shedeur is still number 3, and I guess Dylan Gabriel is starting, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, these teams like that they just messing up themselves by having this quarterback controversy. Get in there, stick with one guy. The guy messed up, bench him, and give somebody an opportunity to play 3 or 4 games by themselves. So whenever you see these guys popping around, jumping from quarterback to quarterback, it don't give. You see, on offense, the offensive line kind of react to who you got under the center, and they adapt to that. When you keep switching these quarterbacks, you don't get no chemistry on that offense, man, because some offensive lines like a certain kind of quarterback because they
That's
can
true.
drop a guy, hold on to him, and then if you got a sore quarterback, then they got to maintain that block and hold on to that block for a longer time because they figured this quarterback is not going to get the hell out the way when he feel pressure. So
Right.
whenever you keep bouncing around from quarterback to quarterback, you're doing your team a disservice. So I just want them to settle down and get one quarterback and win and lose with them.
Let me make a correction here. Actually, it looks like Joe Flacco did start yesterday, and I believe he is the starting quarterback. He will be the starting quarterback for a decent amount of time until, I guess, Kevin Stefanski, who's the head coach, is going to make a change if he decides to do so. They did get that win, and that was a big win for him. I never would have thought Green Bay was going to lose this game, of course.
No. Green Bay was not supposed to lose that, man.
Yeah.
It was not supposed to lose that.
Why did Green Bay lose this game? Because I didn't get a chance to see it.
They lost because of Jordan Love.
Folded. And
Jordan Love.
Folded.
Jordan Love, he plays well, and then he plays not so well, and then he plays well, and then he plays not so well. I mean,
he's an up and down type of quarterback. Very inconsistent.
Well, he's gonna have to get consistent, otherwise they probably be looking elsewhere for someone to come in and be able to make a difference, right?
There's no way you got that good a defense and then you just can't at least be an average quarterback, man. You got to be at least an average quarterback to do something. Just like if you were just talking about the DJ from the Gators, just be decent. Just be a decent quarterback with a great defense like that. You will get at least in the playoffs, man. Get in the playoffs, and then you can do something from there.
Well, it looks like Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, he made a quote. He said that Shedeur will be starting before the end of the season. You guys believe that?
No, I don't.
He's speaking to existence. He's speaking to existence. He's speaking to existence. He's speaking to existence.
So he's trying to will his way. He's trying to will his son in there, right?
He's probably hoping the Browns do bad, so they have no other choice but to put him in.
Right. Prime got his own issue at quarterback, and he had to flip flop with his quarterback, and he wound up winning.
Yeah, exactly.
I love Coach Prime, but I really wish that he would stop doing that. Like, don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah, I think Prime should just kind of stay quiet on that and let his son kind of fend for himself. He's got to, man. I mean, I know he wants to kind of be involved a little bit to try to will his son into the starting lineup, but that it'll happen if it's going to happen. That's the way I look at it, as fate. So we have a commenter here that said, don't leave out Vanderbilt. And we're reverting back to college in the SEC. So I just wanted to bring that up. Do anybody think Vanderbilt is going to be scaring anybody in the SEC?
They damn sure are going to scare Hugh Freeze because they beat him every year. It's feel like Diego Pavia beat Hugh Freeze the last 2 years at New Mexico and then at Vandy. So, yeah, I think they're going to scare some people.
Absolutely. So getting back to the NFL, let's talk a little bit about the Pittsburgh Steelers. They ended up winning. I mean, seems to be.
Hoping you bring that up, dude.
Yeah, we have to talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers and Coach T, of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
So is Aaron Rodgers going to work out with Pittsburgh?
Man, I'm gonna tell you right now, Aaron Rodgers was throwing that cow high yesterday, man. I'm telling you, he was up and down the field, bro. I was hoping he'll work out because I want to see him at least have a positive last end of his career. But he was throwing that ball yesterday. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think they're gonna go with him for a while.
looks like Kansas City got back on track as well. I mean, the Chiefs.
Oh,
Finally.
Man, that was
If
a.
I agree with that. I'll give them a little bit of a pass. The Chiefs' offense is it's a mess, and I know they got receivers.
It's anemic. The Chiefs' offense
He has
is
no
the best way to
He has
explain it.
nobody right now to throw it to. He has nobody right now to throw it to. He was running too much. He was running way too much. He was running out of his comfort zone. It was so obvious.
Yeah.
DC. I'm gonna tell you, Mahomes used to have to run the ball every now and then. Last night he was running every damn down. I'm telling you, he was running from hash mark to hash mark, trying to get rid of the ball, man. And some of those times he had to just get rid of it because they had that much pressure on him. So he was just glad to get out of there with a win. Because for a long time they was tied up like 6-6. And it was like a two girls team was playing. But, he finally pulled it off at the end, and he was really happy. I mean, instead of me ripping him apart, him and Reed to have so many successful seasons, and then now, and you notice something, my boy down here in Miami, Tariq, was crying about being traded back over there, and now he got his lips sealed, been going through the same thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
His lips are sealed, man.
Help me understand this, gents. How did Dallas get embarrassed by Chicago? Give me a factor on that, because I'm a little baffled how they lose to Chicago like they did.
D.D. Lamb got hurt. They best receiver.
Jones.
It's that defense. That defense is soft. If you go look at, I saw people talking before this game about whether Caleb Williams was a bust. Maybe it's too soon for that kind of talk. That kid has 4 touchdowns and no interceptions. And if you look at the 4 touchdowns, ain't nobody near those receivers. No one is near the receivers.
No,
like
nobody.
Diggs is the quarterback.
Nobody.
Diggs, they were targeting Diggs. You ain't supposed to have a quarterback one that they're looking at. They're like, actually, let's make sure we're throwing to him. Everywhere they saw Diggs, they say, yeah, let's just throw to that guy. That defense is a complete fucking mess. And they don't have a pass rush anymore. They traded the pass rush. That defense is disgusting. That wasn't even NFL football the Cowboys defense was playing out there.
Well, it's going to be a whole lot more painful games for Dallas, I see coming. Especially if they don't have the pass rusher. They let Micah Parsons get out of there. Jerry let him get out of there. I love it.
You see, we talked about that. We've talked about that. They let this guy go one thing these folks need to understand. When you got a stud like Parsons on your defense, you got to make sure at all costs you keep that guy around, because not only he your most dominant player, he makes everybody else around him
better. Exactly.
What the hell you think you got?
I gotta ask Jerry, what are you missing? I mean, what are you missing when you let Parsons get out of there? What did you miss? Because you should have paid the man his bag, and it would have been a lot better off. I'm telling you, the Cowboys defense.
Jerry really thought he had pulled off something good, man. He really thought he had done something. He really did. I told you I wasn't going to pay him. Now that damn team is like a girls' school, man. I mean, soft as butter coming out of a microwave.
Caleb Williams passed for 19 out of 28 for 298 yards. And as TJ said, 4 TDs, 4 touchdowns, nobody close. So I wouldn't even use CD Lamb as a name that could have made a difference, because if they couldn't stop Chicago on offense, they still was going to go downhill, right?
CeeDee Lamb playing hurt, man. He said,
Probably would have been closer. But as soon as I saw him play, as soon as CeeDee Lamb was in the backfield, I said, why they got this skinny dude back in the backfield? So I said, maybe he's going to be a decoy. Maybe he's going to be a decoy. They gave him the ball. I said, look at this. He's going to run the ball, injured. Get out of here. Just like that. I literally played it just like that. Just like that. I said, come on, man.
Guys like that, key guys doing stuff like that is a desperation.
Yes.
So he is too skinny for that.
Nothing else going on.
Yes.
He is way too skinny. He's way too skinny to be trying to run like a fullback, man.
Absolutely.
There's guys that's going to hit you from that angle.
Mm-hmm.
Man.
So it's a team that I haven't mentioned in the NFL, and it's the Indianapolis Colts. They look pretty good. I mean, it looks like Daniel Jones is performing fairly decent, right?
MVP candidate. MVP
All he had to
candidate.
do was get away from those Giants, and he turned into this.
Yeah, he turned into some. I mean, the Colts is 3-0, 1-0 away.
Anybody need the Giants? They MVP candidates.
And they blew up the Tennessee Titans over the weekend, 41-20.
Yep.
It looked like Daniel Jones passed
crap
for 228 yards.
They exposed Cam Ward yesterday, man.
Yes, they did.
Dude,
Cam Ward like a child out there, man.
They pickpocketed him yesterday and took him for a pick six.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's going to have them type of growing pains, I think. It's just going to be growing pains.
It's crazy to say this in week 3, but I think the Colts clinched the division yesterday. Like nobody, those teams in that division are awful, and I thought the Colts were going to be awful.
I did too. I thought they were going to be awful.
The Colts are going to run away with that division. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We'll see what they're made of moving on into the season. So let's talk a little bit about the coaches in the NFL on the hot seat, and then we'll wind the show down. TJ, who do you think is the main NFL coach that's on the hot seat right now in the NFL?
Brian Daboll, I'm looking at you, brother. It ain't looking good. They wanted to fire him last year, and they basically brought him back and said, go make the playoffs. Well, now you're sitting at 0-3. You don't know who your quarterback is. You're just wasting that defensive line. I think that he is going to be the first coach fired, and I think it can happen within the next couple of weeks. It just don't look good in New York. I don't know why they thought that he can come back and make the playoffs with those same coordinators, those same guys. It don't look good. That's what I'm looking at as far as my NFL coach hot seat.
How about you, Isaiah?
Well, I can second what he's saying, but here in Miami is not looking good for us either, man. I don't know if they're going to walk McDaniel out the door because they tend to be loyal to people that they really, really like. So I don't know how long this is going to last, but man, we got to clean it up. I mean, we got everything now. We got a good core receivers. We got a damn good running back core. And the thing is, we just can't buy a game. You know, it's just bad. And just like we were saying about Parsons, we let our best defensive player leave a couple of years ago, and we hadn't recovered from that. You know, they brought Fitzpatrick back from Pittsburgh. And he ain't making the thing no better either. So we just look terrible, man. It just look like we just starting out. Like this is the first year for everybody. That's the way they play. They look like they don't even know each other. So it's sad down here. And you know, just before the season started, I was over there like a kid in the candy store, parading around, dancing around the field, and talking to the guys over there, and so eager for the season to start again. And Najee, I thought, man, thank you, man, for not rubbing it in my face because you said, oh, they do that every year. And I was like, hell no, this is a different year. And guess what? It's the same.
It's the same, it's the same old story with the Dolphins.
Yep.
So I'm looking at a guy that's with the Tennessee Titans, Brian Callahan. He's 3-16. He's in his second season. If he can't turn it, I mean, I would think that Tennessee's owner may get rid of him, because I mean that team has kind of a rebuild process or a rebuild look to it to me. They have Cam Ward, but they need to bring in a coach that could work directly with Cam Ward to develop him into an all-pro quarterback at the NFL level. So I would, right now say more likely Tennessee's coaches might be on the hot seat. How about you, Najee?
I'm not going to say he's going to be in a hot seat because they don't have no expectations of anything. And then they just got a rookie quarterback. So they already know it's going to be growing pains with them. You got to understand it's a different tempo and flow and mindset of pro ball. Now, I'm going to go right back to what we were talking about. Definitely the Dolphins. Definitely the Dolphins. They're giving up way too much money for them to be so sorry. You can't be winless.
Everybody
paying top dollar to players.
Yes.
They are paying top dollar for quarterbacks, receivers, and etc. to be winless. You can't do that, bro.
Right.
You cannot. And how long Tariq's been down in Miami? This is what his fourth season. They haven't had a winning season. What's going on? They are awful. Yeah. If they did, it was probably the first season. They are awful, man, and they're getting worse every season. And you're paying them more money to be worse. They're paying them more money to be worse.
Right. Well, we'll definitely keep an eye out for these teams because I think Aaron Glenn is struggling in New York too for the Jets. I mean, that's expected though because the Jets is a hard organization to turn, man.
There's no expectation.
Yeah, and the owner Woody Johnson, I'm gonna just leave it.
Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, because they let Rodgers get out of there and he moved on, and then you have, Aaron Glenn who came to the Jets from a defensive coordinator position in Detroit. So I think Detroit is going to be very, very scary this year for a lot of teams in the NFC because Dan Campbell, he has the formula to what it takes to win and to get through those playoffs. And he's got talented receivers. He's got a good running back for Detroit, and Detroit's got a pretty damn good defense as well. They got Aiden Hutchinson. He's going to be back this year. So they're going to be a force to be reckoned with, I think, out of the NFC North coming soon, I would say.
Don't sleep on the 76ers now. They undefeated, and they haven't even played with they starting quarterback yet. So don't sleep on them. They're undefeated right now.
Right. Well, I can just look at it from a perspective now that Philadelphia, they pulled it off against the Rams yesterday, and the Chargers were able to beat Denver yesterday as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how this season unfolds, really and truly.
And Barkley's not what he was last year so far. He's not throwing them Hercules numbers this year. So I don't know if they playing them different or they trying to utilize their offense different or they trying to preserve them longer in the season. But no, he's not playing nowhere near what he did last season.
Oh, he knocked it out of the park last season.
Still early, man. These guys still celebrating that championship.
That's true. They got A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith, and, they got some good receivers on that team. Dallas Goedert for the tight end position. So they're knocking it out of the park. I tell you what, Philadelphia, as the season progresses, they're going to have to defend that title and get to those playoffs. And the Washington Commanders is going to be a threat as well, So
Jalen Hurts got more touchdowns than Barkley right now. Rushing.
Okay, so we just got breaking news here. Philly Mike OG said, breaking news, Jalen Hurts ruled out for the remainder of the season with a season-ending ACL tear today in practice. I mean, that doesn't look good for Philadelphia. And thanks for that heads up, Philly Mike.
I don't think that's true. I'm not seeing that nowhere.
We'll definitely look at
you better go ahead and look at that, man, because these guys, I know they like to throw lies in your face and hope you put that out there and you be wrong.
Yeah, I'm just reading it from the commenter section. So he says Tanner McKee is expected to take over for the remainder of the season. It looks like the Eagles are done.
He'll be gone. He's trolling us. I don't see
Yeah,
that nowhere.
that sounds that sounds like Donald Trump fake news.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. You know another thing too, and I'm glad we're on this conversation on this particular topic. Whenever you read something on the internet, I would say you spot check it, back check it, triple check it, because a lot of stuff that comes out, especially on Instagram and on Facebook and on different platforms, social media platforms, X, you definitely need to cross check this information, because a lot of times information is driven out there through AI driven tools, and it'll make it look very, very real. I mean, it'll make it sound very, very real. So I don't see anything that Jalen Hurts has been injured, unless it's breaking. The mainstream media hadn't heard anything about it yet. So we'll definitely think about covering that based on that information. So we will close this show out, gentlemen, and we're so happy and thankful that TJ was able to join us today. Would you come back with us, TJ?
I would love to come back. This is a lot of fun, guys. I'll be back.
Absolutely. We want you to come back with us because, we appreciate what you contributed today. I mean, especially from your perspective with college football and NFL football. And, one last thing, though, before we close it out is it looks as though, and I got to spot check this information, that the CEO of the Las Vegas Raiders kind of sent a cryptic message to Geno Smith about that loss against the Chargers, saying that, basically, I guess the information was that he needed to play better. I'm going to just leave it at that. So I'll spot check that information, and we'll put that information in there if it's actually legitimate. So
I won't be reading that crap, man, because you've been on throw something out there. Even when you spot check, and then you got to go back there and tell them it was wrong. So don't even read that crap, man, because 99.9 of that crap be wrong, and they just throwing you out there. You go from no media outlet to this show. Nobody else don't have it, but this knucklehead who throwed it on this show, and you read it. And that, man, don't even read this stuff from these folks.
absolutely.
They got better connections than Stephen A. If they gonna go from the source to you, come on, man.
He does need to play better, though. I expected him to play better.
But damn it. Yeah, but the thing is, even if he has to play better, you ain't gonna get no damn GM coming out there and say that. No GM ain't gonna. They're gonna say it.
Yeah, it's supposed to be in the order, the chain of command type of stuff, right?
The chain of command. Yeah.
Yeah. That's good information, Isaiah. That makes a lot of sense what you just said as well. And I would definitely make sure that before I mention something that I've cross-checked it 3 or 4 times over, because we don't want to be putting out bad information from this show. Isaiah, you have anything to close out for us today?
Yeah, man. I enjoyed this show, man. It was beautiful to have guests on here and Najee back, and then we covered this thing over the weekend, and it was an amazing weekend, man. I thought that it was going to be a washout because it was raining, it was nasty and ugly with the thunderstorms, but look, a beautiful Monday. Listen, you guys tell all your friends, your family, your relatives that we on. Come patronize the show. Have a pleasant week. God bless.
Absolutely. I could see Najee's shirt says "Trust God." So how would you close us out, Najee?
Oh, of course. Well, what I normally say, trust God because he could, and love God because he definitely gonna do the same thing for you. Everything is his time. Is nothing is your time, and I don't care if you feel like you're getting beat down or you feel like that you're not hitting your goals. Because guess what, your timing is nothing compared to what God got planned for you.
Absolutely. And I totally concur with that. And we would definitely do this thing again very soon on this show. We'll be reporting back at the end of the week, and we'll cover some sports and topics as well. By the end of the week, I'm Derek Stewart, your host, and we have TJ, our special guest today, and we have Isaiah.
TJ.
my kin folks, and we thank you, TJ, and we got Najee rejoined us as well. So we're so blessed today. You, the viewer, have a very great rest of your day. Take care of those around you. Help others, even if they don't ask you to help them, and take care of yourself. Peace, love, and prosperity. Take it easy. We'll see you soon.